It's 2003. Operation Iraqi Freedom commenced. The Finding Nemo was released. Space Shuttle Columbia disintegrated during re-entry into the atmosphere. Concorde made its last international flight, and the coffin for CART/Sham car started to be nailed in. Team Cool Green and Team Motorola merged into Andretti Green Racing before leaving CART, and Chevy had a massive problem in the IRL. In the late 90s, when CART was winning the split, there was pressure from engine manufacturers from both series to adopt an engine formula which could be utilized for both series, but Tony George, he wasn't having it. CART might have been winning the split at the time, but this would cost them dearly when future bad decisions were made. Now, moving on to 2001, there were renewed talks of CART switching its engine formula to one comparable to the IRL, as Honda and Toyota wanted to compete in the Indy 500, but they didn't want to build two different engines. Ford were against switching engine regulations, and in retrospect, most likely didn't want to have to build a new engine, considering they stuck with CART while the other two left. Especially they had a NASCAR boom and they had other investments over there. Now, CART shot themselves in the foot repeatedly with Turbogate, which basically turned all three engine manufacturers against CART and themselves. And CART would announce later in 2001 an adaptation to the IRL regulations in October for the 2023 season and beyond, which made it look like, the situation was all diffused between all the engine manufacturers dealing with the engine regulations. However, I forgot to announce that just a week earlier, Toyota made their announcement that they would stop supplying engines in CART after 2002, which is on top of an earlier announcement of the IRL program, which happened last spring. At least CART still had two manufacturers though, right? On May 23rd, 2002, Honda announced their plans to enter the IRL for the 2023 season, putting more nails in the CART coffin. CART later retaliated against the IRL stubbornness to adopting a more universal chassis and engine, and they scrapped the new 2003 regulations, putting more nails in that coffin. Back to the IRL in 2003, where this video actually takes place. Honda and Toyota would be up against the third generation GM power plant that won 14 out of 15 races in 2002, and the same GM power plant, or the same General Motors that won every single manufacturer championship up to that point in the IRL. While this isn't the full story, as Infiniti were competitive in 2002, but with Schechter's lack of execution, comparable to a man with erectile dysfunction, they only had one win to show for it. They were also supplying engines for the Infiniti Pro Series, which was the IRL's revival of Indy Lights. So they decided to focus on that full-time from 2003 onwards. With the addition of Honda and Toyota, the dominant Chevy badged Ilmor engine, introduced in 2002, became a glorified parachute. And this was very bad news for the defending series champion Sam Hornish Jr., who won 5 races, including the last 2, to secure the 2002 Indy Racing League Championship. The Chevy V8 was consistently 5 to 7 miles per hour off the Toyota and Hondas, and GM were getting embarrassed. They haven't even had a car that led a lap yet. They needed a solution quickly, and it would come from a very unexpected manufacturer. So you remember those scrapped engine regulations that CART had? While Ford didn't join the IRL, they had engines lying around. Not just random engines, but IRL regulation engines. Joe Negri, the IRL program manager for General Motors, along with GM themselves, made a deal with the devil and swallowed the hardest pill they ever could. While Negri didn't see it as a Ford project and compared it to the new Honda-Ilmor partnership, despite Ford owning Cosworth, the actual manufacturer of the engine, he was coping heavily. They'd strike a deal and share development with Ford Cosworth for their rest of the time in the IRL. Chevy would unveil their new Gen 4 engine in the middle of 2003, and the Chevy badged Ford Cosworth V8 would be shoved into the back of Hornish's car from Michigan in the 10th round of the IRL. Up to this point, Toyota had won 7 races, with the Honda taking the other 2. He'll qualify 4th, the third top 10 qualifying lap he'd set that year. Hornish would lead the most laps, en route to his first top 3 finish of the whole season, with the second place to Alex Barron. Every race that he would reach the checkered flag after, he would be in the top 10. Sixth at Gateway, before his first win of the season from the pole, while leading the most laps. A cherry on top for Chevy, Sarah Fisher would record the fastest lap of the race with that Cosworth in the back of her car. Hornish would finish second at Nazareth and took the fastest lap. He tried to mount a late season title charge by winning 2 straight at Chicagoland and California, shortening the gap to just 19 races in the championship before the final race at Texas. Unfortunately, he wouldn't see the checkered flag. He'd finished 5th, 46 points back. For reference to how far he was beforehand, the last race before Cosworth engine, Nashville, he was 8th, 117 points back. Now, if you thought this Chevy resurgence would continue in 2004, you're wrong. Someone told Sam, however, as he moved to Penske for 2004 and beyond. The Chevy-powered car would have the highest finish of 5th, which was earned by Townsend Bell and Thomas Scheckter, who would have 1 apiece. Chevy would leave at the end of 2005, with Toyota following them out the door, as well after the Honda became the dominant engine from 2004 onwards. Now, if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button, comment down below. I know I said this week would be an IndyCar history video. While it still is, it might not be cool 90s videos like I had going before. But next week will be great. Stay tuned. See you later. Bye. Peace.